Welcome to a presentation today on the air, gas, water, fluid treatment and control world markets. It's a pretty long title, but it's a pretty encompassing subject. The goal here is really to capture the markets and opportunities for companies that are dealing in a pretty broad area here, which includes all the air and gas control equipment, treatment equipment, everything from pumps, everything from fans to air pollution control equipment to compressors and so forth. And those that are doing similar things in water, from pumps and valves to the treatment systems. And we're into other fluids as well, such as the hydraulic fluids and the fluid power systems. So it covers the waterfront pretty much, and the purpose really would be for investors, for companies that are looking to grow their markets and looking at it on a broad spectrum. So, you know, the merger, for instance, of the purchase of Howden by Colfax is a perfect example of companies that are looking at the broader spectrum and trying to determine where are the basically the most profitable areas to grow. And I think this is reflected really in our summary here. You can see that we're looking at all the different areas here, and you can also see that these are some of the high growth areas. The very high growth is in pink and the high growth in blue. And so none of the companies really are into a lot of these different areas. So many of them can take advantage of this $323 billion, $323 billion market to a much greater extent than they're doing. And of course, Colfax and Ecolab are two companies here that show how they are moving into other areas. So for Colfax, moving into this area of fans down here, which they weren't into at all, provides them with opportunities in a $25 billion marketplace. And there are companies like GE who are involved in a lot of these different areas. And in some cases, they're involved in these only as a part of EPC activity, rather. So really only the things in yellow are where they actually are supplying products. And the similar thing would be for Hitachi and some of these other companies that are also mostly EPC companies as opposed to product manufacturers. But the Pentair, Tyco is another example, certainly, of people in pretty related industries that are taking advantage of a much bigger market with the merger. So the summary is something that we're updating continuously. And there are many other aspects of the report that are updated on a weekly basis. So it's a very comprehensive report, more than 5,000 pages in length. One of the more important aspects is something we're doing on a daily basis, which is tracking the earnings and sales and so forth of the various different companies, so that you can click on BASF, for instance, and we have a ranking for 2011, but we also have revenues being projected for the future as well as for the past. So we're actually looking at 2013 and even up to 2015 for some of the companies. And then you'd actually click on the revenue forecast by the analyst to see, which analyst has projected their sales into the future. But we're trying to average all these forecasts and match those with the with the forecasts that we're making for the industry generally, which we think is very, very important. So you can actually go to the yearly sales increases here, and we have just sent out a news release showing that the 80-some companies that are projecting 2013 sales and earnings relative to sales, the average sales increase that they're projecting is 5.2%, and that jives pretty well with the numbers that we have in all our individual reports when they're aggregated and for our total numbers that we're showing here. So the this report is quite comprehensive, and you can go into companies by service, or you can go into it. So if you really want to go into monitoring and sampling and look at Amatec, for instance, as an example, who makes a lot of different instruments, again, you can get revenues going forward, as well as analyst forecasts and things as well. And they're very active, for instance, in the air area with having acquired a British company that made continuous emissions monitoring instruments. So the corporate performance is a strong area of the report. Probably the strongest area is to go in by individual companies. So you can actually go in and get a forecast of the cartridge market, which is a $14 billion market. Now, we do have a complete cartridge report, which again is another 3,000 or 4,000 pages. But if you just really want to know the overview, like the cartridge market by industry, the cartridge market by subject, membranes versus metals versus non-woven, or if you want to view it regionally or by continent, you can view this kind of information just from what we call this umbrella report. If you want it for each country, for each product, for each industry, then you would go to the cartridge report, and that cartridge report can be procured at a discounted price as a companion to the overall report. But we do have the market shares and that sort of thing too, and we not only have it by some detail, but we actually have it broken out by industry for each of the major companies as well. Now, these are mostly our own analyses. Obviously, the companies themselves don't report this level of detail. So they're approximate numbers, but we are dealing on a very granular basis in that we do track all the projects. For instance, electronics, we track all the semiconductor projects, and so for some of these companies, we know project by project what is going on. We hold webinars on a weekly basis, and you can view those webinars as part of this service as well. One of the most, before I go on to the industry segments, we do get into fluid power, liquid filtration, all these different areas, and we do have at least overviews of the companies and what they're doing in the various different segments. And we get into water and wastewater treatment chemicals with rankings of the chemicals companies, and into RO, UF, and MF, which is reverse osmosis and ultrafiltration, microfiltration. Get into sedimentation and centrifugation, so centrifuges. So what are Alfa Laval and Westphalia and Andritz doing? And the liquid filtration is the macro filtration, gets into belt presses and sand filters and gravity belt filters, and the filters that are used to dewater gypsum are all included in that liquid filtration segment. Another strong aspect of it, of the report, though, is the actual industry segments. And so for those people who are looking at analyzing beyond this area and into things that have nothing to do with air, gas, water, or fluid treatment, will find this section equally valuable. For instance, we track GDP on a continuing basis for every country of the world. And so as part of this umbrella report, you can actually get our GDP forecast for every country of the world, and then you get updates on a monthly basis. Again, it's all part of this report. Find out what changes there are in the GDP forecasting for the month for Chile, and picked up 1%, 0.7% in the first quarter, and so forth. So that is part of the package as well. And let's just go to some other industries. We'll get back out of this one, and we'll, for instance, go on to the pharmaceutical industry, which would be down under life sciences as an example here. And so for the pharmaceutical industry, we have plant databases with all the plants around the world. We have a forecast. We have updates so that you can go into our August updates and find out that Mcilvaine was awarded a contract at Ohio State, and there are all these activities going on as in the pharmaceutical industry in upgrading sterile manufacturing facilities and yogurt plants and so forth here. So that is another feature, and then you have a forecast, which is critically important. And we're doing this in all these different areas for both the equipment and the consumables. And so in the case of the United States, you were projecting the pharmaceutical production revenues for both equipment and consumables. So, this would be the new pharmaceutical equipment that is going to be utilized in the United States over the next 5 years. And the new equipment being purchased for pharmaceuticals in 2017 will be 38% of the amount that was purchased for the world back in 2010. These are all based on 2010 numbers. And the reason we do that is if you have the 2010 number for any country of the world, you can use these production ratios to determine the market for that piece of equipment anywhere in the world and on any future date just by multiplying by the numbers that you see here. And you see we're projecting the sales of pharmaceutical equipment to increase by 27% over, this 3, 6, 7-year period. So we're looking at a report, again, that is very, very detailed, but we have all the overviews, and, you can get everything from the macro forecast of $330 billion, or you can go in and search, for Pfizer or one of the other companies and see where the plants are. So it's a very comprehensive database in that regard. I think this is a brief overview, which is what we wanted to achieve this afternoon with you. We appreciate your attention. We welcome any questions that you have. This is Bob Mcilvaine, and you can reach me at the website and the phone number that's given. And we look forward to talking to you. And this is Bob Mcilvaine signing off for today.